Good morning, everybody. Thanks for coming today to Parent Coffee. I'm Minette Donahue. If you haven't met me yet, I'm sure if you're a current parent at Britton, I'm sure we've already had the pleasure. I'm going to go through our slideshow first, and then after that, I will open it up for questions. And we also have the chat box open on the side, which I will check after I go through this presentation. So we are down to the very last week of school, and so student curriculum should be stopping by this Friday, and then next week kids have an opportunity to finish up everything, and then we're also going to be turning in textbooks, Chromebooks if you're an 8th grader, and picking up PE items and all of those pieces. So Zoom etiquette, please keep yourself muted while I'm doing my presentation, and if you're not asking a question, and then unmute when you want to ask a question. I believe there's a hand raise function if you would like to do that as well. We have that if you, let's see, if you click on, I believe at the bottom of your Zoom, there's some sort of an option to raise your hand, or you can click on the participants and see different options down there. So you can put a little symbol by your name at some point if you would like to ask a question. All right, so we continue to ask the same question over and over again. When will we be coming back to school? Well, currently we are slated to be coming back to school on August 13th. That would be the first day students return to school. Now, I do understand that our state and country have been talking about flexible start dates. I've heard a little bit about that just in general in Santa Clara County as well, but nothing at Morgan Hill has told us or indicated that we are changing that start date away from August 13th. If that does change, we will absolutely communicate out with you both at a district level and at a site level. But as it stands, August 13th is still the first day back to school. So we will be following the governor's Santa Clara County Office of Education guidelines and the CDC guidelines for reopening. And there's a lot of things that have to be in place in order to reopen our school, which I'm sure if you've been following the news, you've been hearing that as well. And as you know, minute by minute, things are being changed and modified both at the country, state, and county and school district level. So we are going to do our best to communicate all changes with you in a timely manner as we move forward. So for next week, though, let's talk about what next week looks like. On Monday, 8th graders will be returning their items. On Tuesday, 7th graders will be returning their items. And on Wednesday, 6th graders will be returning their items. And if there's any stragglers or something happened and your time was missed on the day for some reason, we will still be open on Thursday, but we really encourage you to come on your designated day. It's going to really help us with organization. We're doing our best to make sure we're not touching at items too often. So if we have our 6th grade items clearly distributed or brought back on one specific day, it'll make it quite a bit easier for us. So that is my request, that we stick to the Monday is 8th graders, Tuesday is 7th graders, Wednesday is 6th graders, and Thursday will be for any additionals if something happened. Please note that if your last name or your child's last name starts with an A through an M, their drop-off time will be somewhere between 8:30 and 11:30. We're hoping to have spread out during that time. And if your child's last name starts with an N through a Z, their drop-off time will be 12 till 3. Now, we do recognize that sometimes there are younger siblings, and so if you have an 8th grader, but you also have a 6th grader, and you just want to do one drop-off, you certainly can bring the 6th graders' items with your 8th graders' items. So I would ask that you go with the oldest child. So if you have an 8th grader, bring your 6th grade items as well. And you can drop it off that way. If you can let us know that you're going to do that ahead of time, that would be helpful. That way we can try to organize and get the extra items that we need to get back to you ready to distribute back to you beforehand. Thursday, the 6th, I'm sorry, 6-4, which is the 4th, we are going to be doing a recorded honors award assembly for our 8th graders. In fact, our office staff has been working really hard to put together this beautiful presentation. We will be uploading it to YouTube. I will have it posted on Facebook. I will have it posted on our website, and we will email the link out to you. So, and I'm going to do my best to do a live watch through Facebook, although I'm truth be told, I've never done it before, so it is going to definitely be something I'm going to work on this weekend to make sure I can do. But one way or another, we just ask that we all take a moment on Thursday at 9 a.m. to have a watch party and watch the Honors Assembly together for any families who happen to have an 8th grader that's leaving Britain. Okay, so for 8th graders and for all students who are not returning to Britain, we are asking for you to please return all your school items, pay all of your fees, and return Chromebooks, chargers, textbooks, library books, instruments, sports uniforms, and we will also have your PE clothes, honor awards, cookie dough money that needs to be returned ready for you to pick up as well. Now, with regards to PE clothes, actually, our office staff right now is at Britain working on bagging up all of the items in the PE lockers. If your child stored their PE clothing and items within their own locker, it will be returned to them. So we are going to bag it up, put your kid's name on it, and give it back to you during the distribution pickup for next week. Now, if your child put their items in a friend's locker, that friend will receive everything that was in that locker and it will be given back to that friend. So your child will have to reach out to their friend to get their items back. We are not going to sort through. We're just putting things in a bag and then giving it back to the person whose locker, who was assigned the locker in which the items came from. So that's for all 8th grade students and all non-returning students. And notice the difference. We're asking for you to return your Chromebooks and chargers as well. Now, for 6th and 7th grade students, we are asking for you to return all school items, pay all fees, keep your Chromebook and charger for the summer. So I'm going to say that again. We are asking for all 6th and 7th graders to keep their Chromebook for the summer, as long as they're returning to Britain next year. And we'll return textbooks, library books, instruments, and sports uniforms if you have any. And please pick up all PE clothes and cookie dough money at that time. So if you still have the PE clothes from the locker and the cookie dough money, we will have those to distribute to you at that time. I grabbed a Google Maps image of Britain off of Google Maps. Unfortunately, they have not updated it with our new parking lot. So I just put these arrows so you can see what we're going to be doing. When picking up items from and dropping off items at Britain next week, we are asking that you enter on Central Avenue and then stay in your car at all times. We're going to ask that you keep your masks, so when your windows go down, your masks go on. And we are going to have you drive through the new loop, and we will be out there kind of helping guide your way. And we are going to have different stations where we ask your name so we can radio it down so people can get ready with your items, where you bring and put your items on a table. We're going to have the table close to your car so you can put the items directly there without getting out of your car, and then drive through to pick up any additional items you might have. And then we're going to ask that you exit right on Central Avenue so you can head back out to Monterey. That will help keep the flow going next week. And it will help us as we are trying to organize and keep our office staff safe as well. So many people are starting to worry and talk and ask, and me included, what next year's school will look like. Truth be told, and the bottom line is we just don't know yet. We are in the process. If you happen to have had the opportunity last night, we did have a forum through Morgan Hill Unified School District where our executive cabinet, assistant superintendents were able to answer several questions. And so hopefully you had a chance to watch that last night. It will be likely that we have a couple different models. Number one, fully back to school will not happen until our state and our county and our area opens up. And I believe it's stage 3 or stage 4 is when that happens. So I think we're currently at the very beginning stages of stage 2 of the reopening for our state and for our county. So we will have to be farther along in order to be fully back at school. Now, that being said, we are planning for all different models as we move forward. We have a couple different things we're looking at. If our kids are fully back at school, what safety measures have to be in place? If our students are back at school in a modified schedule, what safety precautions have to be in place? And if kids are not back at school, what does school look like online? So those are all pieces that we are absolutely working on. We've collected data from our community through a survey. We have different committees going on that involve the executive cabinet, administrators, teachers, our union. We're all working really hard together to make sure we have a plan in place as we move forward for next year. There will likely be a hybrid model that starts next year. And I put one of the options here on the slide that you're looking at. There are many different options being considered. Some of the options being considered is half of the students are back at school and they attend for a week, and then they do asynchronous learning for a week. Another option is that half of the kids are on campus for a couple days during the week, and then they're doing asynchronous learning at home for the other couple days of the week, and then they switch. So we can have different groups of students on campus, so we can ensure that we have the spacing needed in the classroom, so we can ensure that we have the safety procedures in place on campus while students are here and learning. Most likely, there will also be another option given for parents who have children who are immunocompromised or are unable to come back full-time, or parents who just don't want to send their children back. We will most likely have a homeschool option as well as we start the year. So most likely you'll have an option to have your child fully at home, or a hybrid option as we start next year. And we're in the process of figuring all of that out right now. Most likely that communication of exactly what next year will look like won't be ready to push out until sometime in July. If they get it out earlier, I'll be thrilled. But there's just so many logistics we're going through, and we really want to make sure we do an accurate and we are intentional with our work as we move forward. That way we can have the best plan in place to start the year. So when we're back at school, we definitely are going to have a strict enforcement of the safety procedures for both the staff and our students, because that is definitely something that's going to be high on everybody's mind for concerns. One question I keep getting again and again and again, and I have the same question, is when are yearbooks coming? Unfortunately, the production is slow due to the pandemic. They are still in the process of finishing up making our yearbooks. My hope is we will be able to have these yearbooks ready to distribute as soon as possible. If we can get them next week, we will push out a message and let you know, and we'll have a special pickup, or we'll have some sort of a way to get those yearbooks to you. If it's after next week, we will still get those yearbooks to you. We will just have to communicate with you during the summer about what that looks like and when those can be distributed. So this is mostly I don't know when it's coming. It's to be determined. We are aware that and actively working with the yearbook company so we can have the most current information. Right now, it's still in production. Okay, there is something kind of fun I wanted to share with you. We just pushed out a PBIS raffle for any students who had additional PBIS points this year. It's one of the ways that we manage giving like awards and rewards to kids who are doing a great job at school during or at home if they're learning. If they're completing things that are needed to be completing or turning on items, teachers give away points, and those points can be used to purchase items within the classroom or at our school store. So there are 10 winners who many people entered the raffle to use the rest of their points that they have, and they entered the raffle, and we have 10 winners. So we have Benjamin, who's a 6th grader, Aiden, who's an 8th grader, Faith, 6th grader, Allison is a 7th grader, Isabella, 8th grader, Thomas, a 7th grader, Cody, who's a 6th grader, Sophia, who's a 6th grader, Deanna, who's a 7th grader, and Lysandra, who's an 8th grader. So if any of these children are your children, congratulations. Let them know that they get to choose if they pick up a bag of Takis, or if they would like a Britain beanie. And the Britain beanie that I have up here is not exactly what it looks like. This is the best I could do pulling it off of the internet. So there are, I believe, blue and black beanies, and they have a B for Britain on there. Those are the 2 options. So Mrs. Parker will be reaching out to students so we can figure out what they want. And then when they are dropping off their items next week, we will have their award or rewards for them at that time. Okay, now is a good time, and I do see that there are definitely some questions going on in the chat at this point. Now is a great time to ask questions. So I am going to I don't know if Nancy Nancy Altman is on right now. If she is, she'll help me with the chat. If she's not, then I'm just going to do my best to look through the chat, answer some questions. So one of the questions is there a link that is separate from Facebook for the Honors Award for those who don't use Facebook? Yes, we will have a link. Actually, I will upload it to YouTube. So I will have a link placed on our Britain website. We will also put the link on our Britain Facebook page, and we will email out the link to all of our 8th grade parents as well. So you have the opportunity to watch the video in a variety of different ways in different platforms. Hopefully you'll be able to access it on your phone as well, because I know that we are asking our 6th, 8th graders to return their Chromebooks, so they will probably have to access it on a home computer or a phone at that point. Will yearbooks be available for pickup, drop-off supplies? I answered that one, and we will keep you updated on that. So one question I got, and I actually get this question every year, pandemic or no pandemic, is there a plan for 8th grade promotion aside from the Honors Assembly? In Morgan Hill Unified School District, we just don't do promotions at 8th grade. It's a standard expectation across all schools. So what we do typically is a celebration and honors assembly. So during this honors assembly link, we actually do have all of our kids, and we honor each of our kids at the end by sharing their name and their picture and what high school that they're going to be attending. So there will be an honor, there will be a bit of celebration included into the honors assembly. So I do encourage you to watch it, whether or not your child is receiving a 3.0, a 3.5, a 4.0 honor, or one of the department honors. They also have the end where we show every kid and talk about their high school or which high school they will be going to. Question about color guard gear, flags, rifle, etc. Are you supposed to bring those as well? Thank you for bringing that up, Jennifer. I actually hadn't even thought about that, but this would be a great time next week to bring back any sports equipments that you might have or color guard equipment, and we can definitely collect that and make sure we get it back to the correct people. So also, I want to make sure that you understand that the textbooks that we are collecting are the hardbound textbooks. So if they are the workbooks that the kids have been working in, those are your students. All we need back are the hardbound textbooks. So I think that that includes...
so it's math, social studies, and Spanish is about it.
Math, social studies, and Spanish. Thank you for that. And thanks for clarifying. I'm looking through the chat right now. So we are not, due to the pandemic and due to everything else that was going on, we are not giving out 8th grade high school t-shirts this year. I know it's a disappointment. It's something that just is really, it was really quite a challenge to try to figure out how to do with all of our businesses shut down, students not in school. So unfortunately that part won't be happening for this year. And the question is, can the staff sign student yearbooks for the distribution? No, we aren't going to be doing any signatures or letting kids congregate whatsoever when we have the yearbooks. We are trying to do our best to minimize touches, and so having multiple people touch the same book at our school site is definitely going to be prohibited at this point. Blue beanies. I just found out that we have blue beanies, not black beanies for Britain for the raffle winners. And what if my child ordered one before school was let out or into staying place? How does she get that? And Lindsay is asking regarding a beanie that she ordered. If you could just send, Lindsay, if you can just send an email to Nancy Altman and to me, we will make sure that we have that beanie ready for her on the pickup.
Was it, and we need to know, was it ordered with PBIS points?
And we need to know if it was ordered with PBIS points. Thank you. And Kim, you said, will they be receiving t-shirts? Answered that one already. Thank you, Lindsay. I see that you will do that piece of it. So at this point, I think I've reached through all of the chat. If anyone would like to unmute themselves and ask a question out loud, I'm more than happy to have that at this time. You'll have to unmute yourself though.
So I did want to just clarify with Color Guard. I believe that they were getting ready for a competition. So most students have Color Guard already turned in. But if you still have something at your house that belongs to Color Guard, it probably should be dropped off at Britain.
Yes, thank you. you have any other questions? Happy to take them. Okay, so
Hey there.
So the instruments, if they belong to the school and if the student is in 8th grade, yes. If you think your student is going to be practicing over the summer and is interested in continuing in the band, then I think that's one where, as long as it's okay with Mr. Loxon, keep them practice.
Any other questions? So I do
I do
recognize.
have a question.
Yes.
My family will be moving out of state, and I'd like to find out what the best process is for my son to receive his yearbook once it is ready for distribution.
Oh, that's a great question. Well, let's see. The question, one of my questions for you then would be, how soon are you moving out of state?
Next week.
Okay, yeah, that's probably a thing. If you could just send us an email, Mrs. Altman and me an email, we will definitely keep that on the radar, and we'll try to figure out a way. I can probably send it over to you wherever you might be. So that's something that we can definitely do. We just need your new address, and we need just a reminder from you. Otherwise, it might get lost in the shuffle.
Okay, we'll do that. Thank you so much.
Absolutely, and best of luck on your move.
Thank you.
So this is definitely a time that's been uncertain. The first thing I would like to say is thank you so much for everything you're doing at home and helping your kids try to stay on track. I know it's a Herculean feat to try to do, and being a parent myself, I recognize the juggles of working from home, keeping track of your kids, and being a teacher all at the same time. So thank you for everything you're doing. We, again, are always here to answer questions. Both Mrs. Altman and I have our Google phone numbers listed on the website. If ever you need to text or call, we are available typically to respond to you. You can also send us emails. We're happy to help and answer questions, whatever they might be. Let's see, I see one more that has come through. So first of all, that's mostly I want to say thank you. We are very much looking forward to having kids back on campus next year at some level. Contact with the kids. We educators, that's why we're in the job. We thrive on that contact with your students. So we were really hoping that we can have a really comprehensive plan to make sure that we can meet the needs of the safety needs and also your students' needs next year as we start. There are a couple more questions that have come through. So one person asked me, and it was a private one, so not everybody saw it, was, am I to understand correctly that more than likely kids will not be on campus every day during school week next year? My answer to that is, although I am not the one making the final decision, I can say that that is very likely a possibility, a strong possibility. And that's all determined by what stage we are in the reopening in our county and in Morgan Hill. So much of that has to do with just where we are with this pandemic in Santa Clara County. Teresa asked if anyone would like to be part of Britton Home and School Club next year. We are in need of volunteers to transition for the next year. Please reach out to Teresa, and she has her phone number and email address there. And thank you for everything. And so if you happen to say, actually, I do want to be part of Home and School Club, and I cannot find Teresa's information, shoot me an email, and I will forward it to Teresa for you as well.
There's a request for BTV. I think Fred has become very popular. We tend to put BTV on the Facebook, but we can possibly link it in the Bobcat Weekly. We'll have to look and see what our distribution options are for that. Because I think it goes out, I think Kelly puts it on a YouTube page, so we can talk with Kelly Parker about that. She's our BTV guru. Thank you, Kelly. It's been awesome that you've kept this going.
You're welcome. I've been able to do it now because it doesn't have a lot of students on it right now. So with it being staff members talking and me talking, that's no big deal. If we do go back to students creating it, we might not be able to share it as publicly as we have been, but we'll keep that in mind.
I do my best to get it up on Britain's Facebook when there's ones that can be shared out, because public sharing is different than private sharing within. So we have to be mindful of which kids are being displayed and the information that's going out. But typically I try to get it out on BTV. If it's not up there, it's either I got bogged down and got a little busy that week, or we have some content on there that shouldn't be publicized publicly, as opposed to just kids seeing each other within the classrooms. A question about Britain interested in receiving an old flute as a donation. Please reach out to Mr. Loxon and see if that's something he would like. And when students come back to campus, could parents, oh, that we just answered that one. Okay. Any more questions? So I definitely, and Mrs. Altman definitely work beyond the school year. So when school is officially done next Friday, I still am working for another couple of weeks. And so is Mrs. Altman, she's got a little bit of time, and then we start up again early in August. So if you have questions, feel free to reply to, send them out to us. And if we're checking our email, we typically reply back. And if not, then we will reply back to you early August when we're back in session. So I think
And I usually check my email year round. So if it's something that needs immediate action, and if I'm somewhere where I have cell phone coverage, at least I can forward it to the proper person.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, thank you again. I appreciate everything. I hope that you have a wonderful summer, and we look forward to seeing you and your students next week with masks on as you are bringing your items back to bring them back to Britain. Have a great day.